Adonai, ma'adam v'teda'ehu, ben-enosh v'techashavehu, Adam lahevel dama, yamav kitzel over, Baboker yatzitza v'chalaf, la'erev yimolel v'yavesh, limnot yameinu kein hoda, v'navi levav chochma, shemo hortam, ure'ei yashar, ki acharit leish shalom, ach Elohim, yiften nafshi mi'ad she'ol, ki yikacheni selah, kala she'iri levavi, tzur levavi v'chelki, Elohim la'olam. V'yashov ha'afar al ha'aretz kishahaya, v'haruach tashuv el ha'elohim asher nitanam. O Lord, what are we humans that you are mindful of us, mere mortals that you even consider us? For we are like a breath, our days are like a passing shadow. In the morning we flourish and spring up afresh. By evening we are cut down and we wither. So teach us, the living, how to number our days, that we may attain a heart of wisdom. Mark the person of integrity and look upon the upright, for there is a future for those at peace. Surely God will free me from the grave. He will receive my soul indeed. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is my strength forever and ever. The dust, the body, must return to the earth whence it came, but the spirit, the soul, returns to God who gave it. My friends, as many of you know, it is traditional at the funeral of a Jewish woman to read from the final chapter of the biblical book of Proverbs, the passage known in Hebrew and Yiddish as Eshes Chayil, in English as a woman of valor or a woman of accomplishment. It's now my privilege to read from Eshes Chayil in memory of Muriel Leff. Esher Chayil mi yimsa, v'rachok mipni nimichra, batach ba'alei ba'ala v'shala lo yechsar, gemalatu tova lo ra, ko yemei chayeha, Kapa parsar la'ani v'yada ha'shelcha la'evion, oz v'hadar levusha, v'tischak l'yom acharon, piha parcha v'chochma, v'torat chesed al lishona, tzofiyah halichot beita, v'lecha matzlut lo tochel, kamu v'neha v'yesharuha, bala v'yahalala, rabot banot asu chayil, va'at alit al kulana. Sheker achein vehevel hayofi, isha yarat Adonai hititalal, tenulami priyadeha, v'halaluha v'she'arim ma'aseha. A woman of valor, a woman of accomplishment, who can find? Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband places his trust in her, and nothing does he lack. She renders good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is robed in strength and dignity and cheerfully faces whatever may come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is always guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband, too, has praised her. Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm and beauty, they are ephemeral, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hands, Wherever people gather, her deeds shall speak her praise. My dear friends, we have gathered here this afternoon to pay our respects. And to celebrate the life of a wonderful woman, your mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, aunt, cousin, and friend, Muriel Leff. Muriel, a woman who was so incredibly devoted to all of you, the members of her family. Muriel, a loyal friend to so many people. Muriel, a woman who had a distinguished working career. And Muriel, a proud member of the Jewish people. As I certainly do not have to emphasize to all of you, absolutely the most important part of Muriel's life was all of you, the members of her family. Her dear husband, Phil, next to whom she now reposes. Her children, Mark and Linda, Stuart and Abby. Her grandchildren, Scott and Stacy, Daniel and Anita, Corey and Sari, Todd and Tara, Elise and Eric. Her great-grandchildren, Alexander, Reagan, Tate, Hudson, Madeline, Dylan, and Logan. Her siblings and their spouses, Harold, a blessed memory, and Lorraine, Paula, and Jerry, a blessed memory, and her own parents, Ethel and Samuel, a blessed memory. As all of you experienced firsthand, Muriel's love for you was unconditional, and her devotion to all of you was absolutely boundless. As all of us will recall, Muriel was such a loving wife to Phil. They grew up together in the same neighborhood in East New York, and they were introduced, I believe, by Muriel's cousin, who was Phil's friend. And at the time of Phil's passing, not quite 2 years ago, Muriel and Phil had been married for 71 years. Truly a blessing from God. And as you know, they had a wonderful marriage filled with love and devotion. Together, they created loving homes, first in Brooklyn and then in our community of East Meadow, and then down in Florida. Together, they raised their 2 wonderful sons. Together, they enjoyed being with all of you, the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. Together, they enjoyed their retirement in Florida, where they enjoyed going golfing and playing tennis. They always enjoyed socializing with their many friends. And of course, one of their biggest joys was to spend so much time with the Greenblatt, the Cobrin, and the Finkel families. Phil and Muriel also had an opportunity to travel, and their marriage, as I said, was one of love and devotion. And I want the family to know that of such a long marriage, we apply a special Hebrew phrase, and that Hebrew phrase is nafsho keshura benafsha. His soul and her soul were inextricably bound together. And if it's a consolation, your parents' and grandparents' souls are now reunited. As you're going to hear from Mark and Stuart themselves in a few moments, Muriel was a wonderful mother to them. She was loving. She was devoted. And since Phil worked such long and such crazy hours, and he had to be in bed very early, almost really early evening or late afternoon, it was left to Muriel to raise the boys to a large extent and be the disciplinarian. But the family spent wonderful time together on family vacations or every summer at the Finkel family compound in the Catskills. As a mom, Muriel supervised and helped her sons with their homework. She was the one who attended all of the school events. She was supportive of their interests. And as a mother, Muriel exemplified for her children the importance of responsibility, the importance of family, and the cardinal importance of honesty. Muriel was close with her daughters-in-law, Linda and Abby. She loved them. She appreciated everything they did for her and Phil and for the family, and she treated them very much like daughters. And as all of you grandchildren know, your grandma loved you dearly. She tried to attend all your events and special occasions, your bar and bat mitzvahs, your graduations, your weddings. She always enjoyed your visits down to Florida. And I know over the years, your grandma really engaged in many kinds of different activities with you. To say that your grandmother was proud of all of you, her grandchildren, is an understatement. And she, of course, was very generous with you as well. Muriel was also blessed to live to have 7 great-grandchildren, some whom she knew well, some she knew via FaceTime, and some by their pictures. But to live to have 7 great-grandchildren is truly a blessing from God. We also know that Muriel was just such a close and devoted sister and sister-in-law to Paula and Jerry and Harold and Lorraine. The 3 children were close growing up. They bonded not only in Brooklyn but up in the Catskills. And I think it's significant that all 3 siblings and their families literally lived within blocks of each other in East Meadow. The 3 siblings and their families socialized together. They had the same circle of friends. And I have to tell you, I don't know too many sisters and sister and brother who are closer than you people were. And of course, Muriel was very much devoted to her own parents as well. And over the years, Muriel garnered many, many friends, whether they were friends from Brooklyn, from East Meadow, and from Florida. And it's easy to see and to understand why Muriel had so many friends. She was warm, she was caring, she was friendly. She was loyal, she would do anything for a friend. And Muriel, as I observed her, was sincere, she was down to earth, and she was also a no-nonsense kind of person. What you saw was really what you got. Muriel loved her mahjong game, her canasta game. She was an avid reader. As I said before, she also had a working career. Before she got married, she was a bookkeeper. After her sons were in college, she returned to the workplace as a bookkeeper for more than 20 years. And Mark shared with me that his mom was very exact and meticulous as a bookkeeper. She had to account for every single penny. And if the books were off by even a penny or two, Muriel worked and worked and worked until she found that missing penny. Muriel also had a strong sense of her Jewish identity. She's from an observant family, and she and Phil joined our shul, the East Meadow Jewish Center, when they moved to East Meadow in 1962 and remained generous supporters of our synagogue. Muriel and Phil maintained their affiliation with our shul as sustaining members once they moved to Florida. And I understand that even towards the end of Muriel's life in the nursing facility, she was murmuring the Hebrew prayers that she had learned as a child that had come back to her at the end. Yes, Muriel was a sweet, kind, caring person. She could be forceful. She spoke her mind. But she was the type of person who had respect for everyone. And that's just one reason why everyone respected and loved Muriel. I'm going to pause, and at this time I'm going to call upon Mark and then Stuart to share some memories about their mom.
Some of the things I'm going to say, the rabbi already covered, so. Mom was a loyal, loving mother who did her job well. As a homemaker, she was an A+. There was never a spot she couldn't remove, even if it took all night. Because Dad worked nights, Mom filled in as both mother and father. She was the one at school on open school night or the one who drove you to a friend's house. I will say that her culinary skills had some shortcomings. It wasn't until I got to college and started cooking for myself that I found out that scrambled eggs weren't brown. Don't forget the legendary story of Spanky in the Arms. On a more serious note, Mom taught me the importance of honesty, integrity, promptness, and loyalty. How her kids looked was very important to her. She loved her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, even though she never met them all. Taking them out to dinner was her joy. She and Dad had a great loving relationship that lasted a very long time. When he passed, her soul passed with him. Family and holidays was her joy. She was a great daughter to her parents and a very loyal person. Even in her dementia, all she talked about was Grandma. Mom, we didn't always see eye to eye, maybe about 20%. But I did listen to you and learn some things. I hope you got what you have been looking for this past year. I hope they're all there waiting to bring you home. Love you and miss you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Stuart?
Mom lived 94 years, 92 and a half that she would say were just wonderful. To say that she was a supportive parent would be a gross understatement. When I was around 14 or 15, I spent 6 weeks in the hospital. She sat at my bedside for untold hours and was consumed by what I ate, whether or not I ate, whether or not I moved my bowels, how much pain I was in. She was fearful of driving on the parkways, and yet sometimes she would have to take me 2 or 3 times a week to a doctor's appointment. And then I realized how fearful she was to drive. She was a dedicated mother and wife. She loved my father dearly and was dedicated to taking care of him as his physical maladies became more and more disabling. When he had a bad day, she had a bad day. My parents were truly role models as to how one should enjoy your retirement. They moved to Florida in the late 80s and had an active social life playing golf and tennis and canasta. They had a host of friends and were busy virtually every night of the week. And as they aged, sports were replaced by adult education, and she volunteered in the local school system. Every conversation that I had with her started with, "So tell me about the kids." She loved her grandchildren and looked forward to seeing them as much as she could. I know my kids grew closer to Mom as they got older and appreciated her love for them and how she relished in their accomplishments. She loved to look at pictures of her great-grandchildren, and although she couldn't remember their names, I think she was able to match the children with their parents. She knew that Maddie was Corey and Sarah's, and that Todd and Dan both had twins. It made her sad that when she realized that the kids would never really know her. Mark's kids remember her attendance at their games as they were growing up and the times she babysat for them. Holidays with all the kids were truly memorable, although what she remembers and what they remember were probably two different things. Broken lights in the basement, Corey and Todd. She thought that she looked forward to the kids coming to Florida until she found out that the 4 older ones were skinny dipping in the community pool and that she and Dad were probably going to be in a lot of trouble. If you measure one's life by the people you touch, one would say that she had a very, very full life. She had lifelong friends in the Udys, the Weisberg, and the Feigs. She also had very special relationships with her sister and brother and their families. Her niece and nephews were all very important to her as well. When I've shared what was going on with Mom with my friends, I've often prefaced the description of her problems with, well, she had a really good run. I truly believed that then, and I believe it now. I knew this day was coming, and I often said that she was just one fall away from the end, and that turned out to be true. Mom said, "I've had enough, and I want this life to be over." Well, Mom, the time has come, and you and Dad can rest together forever. You've been a great mom and a great cheerleader of mine throughout our time together. I'll miss you, but I'm comforted by knowing that you've had a full and wonderful life.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Then eulogies are to end with 3 Hebrew words, which I share with you at this time. Yehei Zechrona Baruch. May Muriel's memory be a blessing for all of you. She has bequeathed unto you, as we've just heard, a wonderful legacy of love, devotion, noble values by which you can steer your own lives. And now it's up to you to hold on to all these memories, because if you hold on to your mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, and aunt's memory, she'll continue to be alive where it counts. And that's inside each and every one of you. Al Mikoma Taba B'Shalom. May the soul of Muriel Leff come to its eternal resting place in peace. Man was taken from dust, and unto dust he must return. Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, mechayim meitim b'rachamim rabim. Somech noflim b'rofecho limu matir asurim. Umekayem amunato mishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al givrot miyonacha. Noach me'midim chayeh. Umatzmiach Yeshua. Ne'emanata v'chayot neitim. At this time, those who wish to fulfill the tradition of placing some earth on the coffin will do so. and then return to your places so we can complete the service. Some of you want to come around this way if you want.
Go ahead. No.
Do it, Trey.
Tobin is funny.
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you.
We meet you. We met.
I think it's probably big.
I don't remember.
I wish I could tell you.
Yes.
So many people I get reintroduced to.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I know you from. I'm like,
We always compare notes because my son's on the job.
oh, right. I'm Adam, yeah.
I saw him at the gun, when you get the license, the gun license. He didn't left my son.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Produce it to Zoom.
I just wanted it to be covered.
Yeah, we
Hatzur tamim b'po'alo ki chodorachab mishpat. El emuna ve'einav el tzadik v'yashar hu. Hatzur tamim b'cho po'el miyomar lo matefal. Hashalipa mata v'ma'al me'midu mechaya morid sha'ol v'ya'al. Tzadik b'chodorachab hatzur tamim erecha payim u'malei rachamim. Chamona v'chusna ladvotu vanim. Ki lacha adon haslicho v'harachamim. Eternal God, creator of all life, with the gift of your Spirit, we humans are formed. You take it in return, and we are but dust. We are grateful for the many blessings in the life of Muriel Leff. Bowed by grief because of their loss, her mourners turn to you, O God, seeking comfort and light. Lord of compassion, grant them solace and strength. Reinforce their faith, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem, Adonai Mevarach. The Lord has given and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I now chant the memorial prayer in Muriel's memory. Elo aslichot, chanuna verachum, erech apayim, verav chesed ve'emed, hamitzei chapara pesha, ve'hakravat yesha, umenucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashechina, b'ma'alo kedoshim utahorim, kizohar haraki amazirim, et nishmat Aisha Miriam bat Reb Shmuel shahalacha la'olama. Ana ba'al harachamim zechor laletova kol zechuyoteha v'tzidkoteha ba'artzot hachayim ufitach la sharei tzedek ve'ora sha'arei chemla v'chanina be'eseiter kinafecha yastireha la'olamim utzeror b'tzrachayim et nishmata Adonai unachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen. O God of forgiveness, you who are gracious and compassionate, patient and abundantly kind, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Muriel Leff, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that Muriel performed here in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. The Lord is her portion. May Muriel rest here in peace. And let us all say, Amen, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, b'alma divrach chirutei, b'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei decho beit Yisrael, b'gala v'zman kariv v'yamaru Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almayah. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram v'yalma v'yimaru Amen. Yehi shalama rabbah min shemaya v'chayim alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav u'ya'aseh shalom alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru Amen. May God, who makes peace in the heavens above, make peace for us, for all Israel, and for the soul of Muriel Leff. And let us all say, Amen. My friends, this completes the service, but there is a special way of leaving graveside. Mark, we're going to come back and do this. Mark, first you come with me. Mark, Paula, and Stuart over here. Everyone else is going to form two parallel lines on either side of the walkway. So some of you over here, some of you over here, facing each other with the space in mind. Right? One of my left, just face each other so we have an aisle here for the family to walk through. At this time, we have Mark, Stuart, and Paula walk between the lines as we offer them the traditional Jewish words of consolation. Hamakom Yanachem Etchem B'tov Sha'ar Avei Le'Zion B'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among the other mourners in Zion and Jerusalem, and let us all say Amen. At this time, once the family has passed, you may return to your cars, or if some of you can stay, we want to put as much earth on till we cover the coffin.